Hello, and welcome back to Book to That Model and our little Thursday show. So, how's we doing? Let's have a look. Who we got? Who's in today? Ooh, 5. Blimey, what's going on here? I've got some peoples. Sarah Jane, first one in. Hello, Sarah Jane. And then Eric came in. So, hello, Eric, and hello, Jeff. How's America today, you three? Don't know. Put a little comment. Scott's in. Good afternoon, Scott. Scott's back at work. So we still hasn't had his pineapple pizza slice yet, but he will. He will. It's going to be quite funny, that. I mean, I did the Korean death noodle challenge once, but I did it twice like an idiot. And it's probably going to be the same for Scott. It's going to be horrible, but it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch. Dad's not in yet. Dad's obviously gone off to visit Eileen today. It's his visiting times, so I know that he will pop in later. It's morning in America, and it's already outside. Oh, there you go, Jeff. It's not too bad here now. We had a exceptionally hot few weeks, but this week, my second week of my holiday, it's quite pleasant. Had a little walk into town earlier. Took my 2 sons with me. We getting supplies for the man cave and things like that. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do rocks, dirty, great big lumpy rocky things. Now there are lots and lots of ways of doing it. You can use natural rock, just go in your garden, pick some rocks up. The best thing to do with that, if you're going to do that, collect whatever rocks you want and then boil them. Put them in boiling water. Don't bubble them up, boil them. Just put them in boiling water for about 15 minutes. Just kill everything that's on them, and they'll be fine. Please don't try and heat rocks. Rocks can sometimes explode, believe it or not. You get pockets of trapped air in rock, and it heats up and then expands, and then you might have heard it. Occasionally you put a rock, you build a fire outside your camping, something like that, and the rock will go pop. And that's what it is. It's actually the rock exploding where the steam builds up inside the air pockets and then explodes. So please don't do that in your kitchen. I don't think your partners will be too happy blowing the cooker to bits. But yeah, just do that. Make sure things are safe, things are not. I do the same when I've got, because I keep fish as well. That's my other hobby, is my aquariums. And you need to kill things. I had a situation with a marine tank a few years ago where I bought some what they called live rock, and it came from somewhere, the Philippines or something like that. And it's got like live corals, things like that on it, tiny little ones, and you grow it yourself. You know, over the years, and it's a natural way of doing it. And I'd had this marine tank set up for about a year, and then all of a sudden, things kept disappearing. Fish kept disappearing, and I thought, what is going on here? And unbeknown to me, this live rock had been a tiny baby mantis shrimp. And over the years, it had taken the odd fish now and again, smaller ones, and then started to take bigger ones, and that's when I really started to notice. And yeah, so always make sure things are dead before you use them. You know, and it stops things like you could get mold and things like that. And if you're allergic to that sort of thing, it can have a nasty effect on you. So always please clean, or just even if you just sit it in a bucket of disinfectant, bucket of bleach and water with rocks. I came to see some Spiddy's in. Hello, Spid. There will be some rocks, Spiddy, sir. So natural rocks are fine. The easiest way of doing it, because you can't, it's actually illegal to collect rocks and plants and things from the wild. I didn't know that. Just done a little bit of a research on that. So I'm not just in the UK, I don't know in America and the rest of the world, but in the UK it's illegal. It's like you can't take pebbles off a beach. I didn't know that, but there you go. So the easiest way to do it, if you go to a garden centre or a builder's merchant that has a garden centre attached to it, you can get stones for your garden, like you're passing that. This Gundam is actually sat on blue slate chunks, and that's just been dry brushed a little bit just to bring out the edges, and it's quite a nice way of doing it. So we put that. That's one of my favourite Gundams. I'll put that on one side. I don't want to damage you. The same with this Games Workshop Troglodon. This and the helicopter behind is slate. Now let's just move him up there, pop him up there a second on that shelf where he lives. And the helicopter will just put away. But it's just slate. And the easiest way to get this, unless, like I said earlier, this was the money saving tip the other week, because I still didn't do, was if you've got a poundland in the UK, I don't know in the States, but you will be able to get these quite reasonably cheap. This is a place setting, a slate place setting. And all I did is I put this in 2 heavy duty plastic bags and wrapped it in a towel, and then took all my anger and frustration out of it with a hammer. I just break it down, and out of that one slate place tile, I managed to get all that lot of different sizes. So I've got quite big pieces in there, and then various sizes going down the grades, and it's up to the finest. I mean, it takes a bit of time. It's a bit fiddly sorting it out and sieving through it and things like that, but for £1 I've got enough basic material there. And I do a lot of Games Workshop miniatures. In this room there is at least 2,000 Game Shop miniatures. It's probably worth about £5,000, my armies. But I've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for years. But I will cost that'll last me at least a year, and it's cost me £1. It's a no-brainer, and that's just a money saving tip for this week. Get yourself a slate place mat, and that's quite easy to do. The other thing we're going to look at, and the simplest, the easiest, and the cheapest, even cheaper than £1, these rocks like that. And here's one on a diorama. And all that is polystyrene packing. That's all it is. And I'm going to show you now how we're going to do this one. And then we'll show you, we'll go back in time and I'll show you the old-fashioned way. And I think the nicest way of doing rocks, especially if you're doing things like railways and things like that. Now, the scale of this is that big. So how big is that? Well, that's my lighter. Doesn't have to be a big kit to be a nice kit. All right, so bear that in mind as well. Doesn't have to be big to be beautiful. Says the guy that's just over 5 foot tall. Right, so let's look at this. How are we going to do something like this? This is a gaming piece I use just as a scatter terrain. But the same technique will work if you're making a diorama or if you're doing a railroad. Kennison, what scale is the lighter? It's 1:1:1 scale, Kenneth. It's 1:1 scale, Kenneth, my lighter. Right then, so how do we do this? Stick that on one side. We're just going to get some bits of polystyrene, just ordinary polystyrene you get in all your packagings, and save a bit, don't throw it all away. Now you can use a knife to cut this. It's very, very easy to cut with a knife. I'm just lazy, and I'm going to use my hot wire cutter, and I'll just stick it on the CD. That's a very old game. That is an Xbox 360 game, Crackdown 2. That one of Tommy's favourite games, Crackdown. He's got them all. We've had to replace this twice, Crackdown 2, because it's one of his favourites, and he's worn them out. So let's just, before we start, I'm just going to plug the hot glue gun in for a minute, let that warm up while we're doing this bit. So let's have a look about there, and literally, might be a bit big actually, I'll have to trim that in a minute. Get a basic shape, and then all you're going to do is start taking chunks out of it at different angles. You can do this with a knife, you can do this with anything you want. Gets a bit warm. We put striations, that's a big word. Now, obviously, for tabletop gaming or D&D, you want things to be quite cartoony and quite exaggerated. But if you're doing a diorama, just don't do it as heavily, shall we say. That's what I'll do for the first bit. Chop up another piece. Just sit on the top a little bit. Angle it off a bit. Oh, that back is just a bit too angular, too circular, sorry. Very simple to do. Just do it with a knife. We'll just, oh, hang on. I'll put that on your bin so I can't on the bin here. Throw them bits away. Stick them down there. We'll stick them in my recycling bag of stuff I can use later on. And then, just for quickness today, what I would recommend doing, in fact, let's not bother with that. Let's not bother with that hot glue gun. The best way of fastening this, actually, we need to do the bottom door. Duh, you idiot. You idiot. No, that'll do. Right, the easiest way to do it next, get the round off again. Is to use PVA glue or tacky glue. I actually quite prefer tacky glue now. Although obviously you don't get as much in them. Oh, I just pulled the thing off. Not on my own strength sometimes. Stick that there. So the easiest way to do it is get our PVA glue. See how I coloured that already? Pre-coloured it. So it's just a dirty brush. Right, and we stick that on there. And then the next thing we want to do, to hold it in place, just get a couple of cocktail sticks. I'm having a brain on what do they call them in America? Toothpicks. Toothpick. Right, who's in? Oh, Lynn's in. Hello, Lynn. Thank you for nipping in. You'll be off to work in a bit, won't you, Lynn? Or are you day off today? Lynn might be down. You should buy a Proxon foam cutter, Dave. I will do, Kenneth. It's one of my things I would love to buy is a Proxon foam cutter. But A, it's the cost, and B, it's the room. Because they're not little beasts, you know. The old Proxon foam cutters are quite a chunky bit of equipment. But yeah, one would be very nice. A Proxon foam cutter. I would dearly love one. Later on, you never know. I might treat myself one day. Right, so the best thing to do then is just leave that to dry and then get something like our all-purpose filler and then just coat it and then leave it to dry. And it's that simple and that easy and that cheap. And then what you need to do then is once it's all dry, oh, there it is. I put something down. I'm very good at putting things down and forgetting where I put things. Right, so once you've done that and it's dried, get your paints, your tester pots or your craft paints. Remember what I always said, craft paints and tester pots, dirt cheap. Don't try and use this sort of stuff. Your Games Workshop or your Vallejo or your Army Painter, because it will be a very expensive way of doing it. And once you painted it, you end up with something that looks like that. It's Blue Peter style. See, here's one I made earlier. Right, so what we're going to do with that now, we're going to do a technique called dry brushing. Now, If you've never done dry brushing before, the clue's in the name. One of the things, dry brush. Once you start dry brushing, never ever ever put your brush in water, all right? Because once your brush gets wet, forget your dry brushing. Seriously, it's that. Keep your brush dry and you'll succeed at dry brushing. The amount of people I've seen, and I end up shouting at the screen, like, what are you doing, you idiot, yeah, what are you doing? But there you go. Keep your brush dry is the secret. And dry brushing is really counterintuitive because you want to paint. Your brain's telling you want to paint. You want paint on your brush. You don't. You don't want paint on your brush at all. You want pigment on your brush. You don't want paint. And it's really hard to get it in your head when you first start doing it because you will overload your brush. You will, and you just won't get the effect. And it's not a quick technique. It's actually quite a slow technique. So I'll show you one. We'll get a dark grey, a darkish grey. Just have an ordinary poster paint. And then we'll load up our brush. Get him well loaded. All right. And then we're going to take the paint off. We're going to use a paper towel and literally rub it off. Rub it into the bristles and then rub it off. And what you're doing, you're taking the liquid out of the medium, the paint medium, but you're leaving pigment on the brush. And then what you want to do, as if you've got nothing left on the brush virtually, and then what you do is very, very gently, don't go and rub it in, very gently start flicking it over the surface. Now this is not a quick technique. If you're doing it correctly, it's not a fast technique. It's a very slow technique. What's happening is the pigment I've left in the bristles is getting picked up by the raised areas of whatever you put it on, whether it be a model kit, a miniature, or just a piece of polystyrene with filler on it, like I've got. And it is a very, very slow technique. We'll just do one edge. We're not going to do the whole lot because it's going to take forever. Well, it's not, it's going to take about an hour or two. But the less, the better. All right. I've been at this for a few seconds and it looks like there's nothing on there. But there is. It's just slowly, slowly, slowly building up. And it's just flicking the paint brush over. Right, now your brain would now tell you, oh, I need to reload my brush. So you'll go dump and you'll stick it in water. Don't do it. Don't stick it in the water. It's very hard not to do it. It's like second nature to stick your brush in the water and clean it. But don't do it. Just reload your brush again. And the same if you wanted to change. We're going to change colour later. Well, not colour, but lighter. Keep working away and working away. It's probably boring if you're watching this, sorry, but it's the only way to teach you how to dry brush properly. Less is more, honestly. And eventually, after about 3 or 4 passes over with a next to nothing brush, you will start to see it pick up. You will start to see it. And the effect is 100% better than just getting a load of brush and going and splattering it on. Slapping it on doesn't work. Slapping on doesn't work with dry brushing. Very methodical technique. So what's happening? I can just have a look at the chat, can't we? Oh, I'm having a good old chat together. I'm chatting away. What's happening in the chat then? Lynn's got to work. When you got to? Oh, it's early in the morning in where you are, isn't it? Something's going about Mars bars. We won't get into Mars bars. It's a rock. It is, Lynn. It's a rock. Kenneth, can you paint foam with rock can paints, or will it melt the foam? It will, Kenneth, if you spray it too closely. You can spray extruded polystyrene. You can spray insulation foam with a spray can, but from a distance. But if you get too close, the accelerant will. It's the accelerant more than anything in the rattle cans that will melt the foam. But yeah, you can, Kenneth, but from a distance, mate. So if you're spraying a normal, if you're undercoating normally, you know, like 8 or 9 inches away from a model kit that you're spraying with primer, spray from about 12 inches away. What happens is the accelerant dissipates over that distance, and you're actually putting dry, but the paint's drying in the air, and as it hits the model, it's virtually dry as it hits the foam. So you can do it. You just got to be very careful. Just do it from a slightly longer distance. It's not recommended, but you can do it that way. So Jane's saying primer first might help. Not sure though. It will. You can do if you're coating it. But like I said, if you do it from a far enough distance, the accelerant dissipates in the air between that and the thing the foam you're spraying on, and you're virtually putting. By the time it gets to what you're spraying, it's actually pretty much dry. It's tacky paint. So you've just got to be careful. You can do it. Just be very careful doing it. Don't overdo it. So let's carry on flicking. Dad's in. That's obviously Eileen's probably asleep. Or if she's not, Dad's going to fall asleep, and Eileen will once again say, I'll poke him when the exciting bits happen. I hope she's well, Mike. Hope you're all right, mate. Let's have a scroll down. This is a very laborious technique, see, but it pays. Honestly, it will pay off in the end. You'll notice a huge difference if you've dry brushed before between doing it this way and just overloading your brush and getting a damp brush on the job. Now it's really starting to show. Now it's starting to pick up. Honestly, the third or fourth pass you make, you'll start to see the effect. You see how that's, if I turn it that way, to the black side, to the dark side, turn it back again, you'll see how the grey's starting to pick out now on all the raised detail. And it's a simple technique, but it takes a bit of mastering, because you intuitively want to dip your brush in water, or you intuitively want to put paint on your brush. This stuff works really well for taking the paint off. Another thing that works really well is cardboard. For some bizarre reason, cardboard has this really weird effect of taking moisture really quickly. Don't know how it does it. It's a science thing, obviously. But I didn't have any cardboard to hand. I've got lots of kitchen roll. So building up and building up and building up. It's quite boring watching this, isn't it? Sorry. But it's the only way you're going to learn. Let's change the angle of the brush and go up and down for a little bit. No, I just lent on the tissue. I just put grey on my hand. Now it's really starting to pick up now. See the difference now? That and that. The light side and the dark side. Right, so I'll put that one to one side, and then we'll get a lighter grey. Want to find one? Oh, there we go. There's a lighter grey. Give him a check. Hold him over. You don't like them really matter. Do that. Get someone there. Get it off. Now you don't want to use. You really don't want to use good brushes for this. Don't use your Series 7s and your broken toads and your Galleria paint brushes and all that. Don't use your posh stuff. This is a very cheap 3/4 Bolmere. That was like £2 for a set of about 8. Right, now we've gone to a very lighter colour. It's really starting to show now. Change the angle that you're attacking it at, so you get all the dicky out bits, and that's what you're after. You're after catching the raised areas and leaving the shadows in the recessed areas. And the more you do it, the more you build it up, the better it'll start to look. Now you see the difference now. Now we started with the black and where it's at now, and you've got all your recessed areas in shadow. And it's that simple. It's one of those patient techniques. Nobody can teach you patience. We can only point you in the right direction. You'll have to learn patience yourself, I'm afraid, which is my biggest battle at the moment with my son. He's trying to teach him patience. Trying to teach a severely autistic child patience is, I feel like King Canute, I'm banging my head against the wall, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Bless him. I'm quite fortunate in a way that I'm dyslexic myself, so I can understand what he's going through with things like this, when I'm trying to teach patience. And I get it. I do get it. But he's getting there. He'll learn. So that's a very simple, cheap lump of rock, really. Once you've done your grassing, your flocking, and put a bit on here and a bit on the top, and actually an easy, simple way of doing it, for either a gaming piece, like I said, for either a gaming piece, a diorama for, a military model, or if you're doing railway scenery. It's a simple technique, and it's really effective. So that's how we make a rock out of lumps of polystyrene. Just packaging that you throw away normally. Right then, we won't wash that for now, because there may be some more dry brushing in a moment. And it's, like I say, it's a very cheap brush. It's a pack for £2. If it dries out in the next 20 minutes, it dries out, we'll throw it away and use another one. Well, there you go. So that's how we do polystyrene rocks. And in the end up, you'll get it to so it looks like that stage. And that's just the binds that we made the other week. I come up with a bit of a new technique, that started off as a lady's hairnet, and all I did was I spread it out on a piece of greaseproof paper, slapped a bit of PVA on it, and then put some flock on it. And if you fold it, hang it from your rocks, and then add a bit of flock to it to hide. Oh, hang on, just attacking my Space Marine. That's my Space Marine I was painting in fills on Tuesday night. I did his head. I felt like Fox. I did his body and his head in 2.5 hours. I actually felt like Fox. But that's actually taken me 2 days. But I've just been messing with it. It's just been taking my time with him. Same as anything, you take your time with it, and it shows in the end. Right, so what's the next bit we're going to look at? A chat. Let's have, oh, Andrew's in, beyond hope. Oh, if anybody's looking for Andrew beyond hope, he says, who's looking for him? I'm not here, I'm still officially working. Shh, shh, Andy's not here. Shh. Let's have a look. What's going on in the chat? Oh, look at this lot. It's going mad. There's people in the chat. Eric saying, check out Midwinter Minis. The best proof using flour and craft paint to seal up foam board. He has. Midwinter Minis is a very, very good channel to watch. The one I like is Bottle Creek. Luke Towan, the Australian guy. His stuff, his diorama stuff is like, blows me out of the water every time. And he's fantastic. He is. And a very nice guy, apparently. The other one that I like, Mel the Train Tutor, is worth watching. Very good. Mel's good. And the other one is a guy called Jeremy at Black Magic Crafts, Canadian guy. He's very good at stuff he does as well. There are loads. There are loads. One of my Andy's in. Andy, he's playing Boulder Dash. Do you know that's a game I never ever played? I never played Boulder Dash. Never played it. Scott saying Boulder Dash before Andy. What's that about? Lynn saying, hi Scott, master of puffins. What day is it? It's Thursday. If all had gone to plan, we would have been at Scott's this week, last week and this week. In fact, we'd probably be setting off back from Orkney today to get back in time and start work again on Monday. But that was a plan. We were supposed to be going up. That's why I've had this 2 weeks holiday. We were supposed to be going up to Orkney. A little group of us. We'd actually found, although Dad wasn't too happy with what we'd found 2 Mongolian yurts on a campsite not far from Scott's. I was on the Airbnb. That would have been great, but never mind. Never mind. Not next year, maybe the year after. Next year I'm getting dragged to South Korea. I'm getting dragged to Seoul. Don't want to go. But there you go. I've got to go. I've got to do as I'm told. Hours and hours on a plane without a fag. I'm saying, oh no, Dave's pushing his boulders in public. Yeah. Just saying the polystyrene rock is looking incredibly easy to it does, Jeff. It's just time and patience. That's all it is, mate. Once you start dry brushing, get as much paint off and get as much of the carrier, not the paint so much, not the pigment, the carrier off the brush as you can, and then you're working with the pigment. That's all you know. Just brush pigment onto the raised areas, and just do it slowly and just build it up, and then just get lighter and lighter tones, and it's amazing the effect. You can even, I've actually done it in the past where I've been using darker greys, and then I've gone on to like a rusty brown colour, ready brown, and done a bit of that, and just added like striations of different colour in it, and it looks absolutely beautiful when you've done it. But it's just one of those time-consuming things, you know. But that's what it's about, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're not in a rush. But model making and things like and crafting, it's not a race, you know. If it takes you all night to dry brush a rock that's this big, what's the problem? You know, just dry brush it. Looks good there, thank you, Kenneth. Andrew, who's not here? Andrew who's here? I don't know. Nobody knows I'm Andrew Geezer. Who's he? David's a very naughty boy. Very naughty boy. I couldn't go some more. I was in my youth. I must admit, I was a naughty boy in Morecambe when I was young. But glad you weren't staying in it the last few days. Though it's been wet and cold. Yeah, that's the chance we take with Orkney, Scott, isn't it? You know, the weather. But it would have been fun. It would have been fun. There would have been Viking archaeology and lots of things to see, and drinking. So I can't think of anything better than that. We're spending a holiday. Lots of drink and lots of Viking archaeology to look at. I'll have a quick drink. I'm on the Lucasade Wild Cherry. I like this. It's good stuff. I know, Kenneth. I can't believe Dave's saying it's not a race to take your time. I know. I used to be terrible. Kenneth and Scott will tell you, and Kenneth will tell you. I get a 172 Airfix kit and I'm finishing it in the night. It was done in an evening. It looked all right. It wouldn't look fantastic though. It was was he done with Dave? I know. I've slammed down a lot. I've been watching a lot of other people and learning, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It's learning from others and and teaching others. It's not a race. At the end of the day, it's not a race. Yeah, I can knock out a 5 month squad of Space Marines in an evening. You know what I mean? But that's just batch painting. That's not when you're talking about making an aircraft kit or something like that. There's no rush. At the end of the day, it's not a rush. It's not a race. Dave's all hammers for the weekend. It wasn't. It's taken me a very long. It's taken me a long time to build these armies up. My 9 Hunt army is. If you ever played, if you know what Games Workshop and the system is, I've got over 4,000 point 9 Hunt army. It's taken me 2 years to do, and I do it a couple a day. Oh, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Don't ever get into Games Workshop. Whatever you do, don't get into the game. Don't start playing. A drug habit would be cheaper. Let's just say this. It really would. Oh, that's better. I needed a drink. Right. So what we're going to look at next. Should we go way back in time? Back in time to how we used to do it. We used to use a thing called tinfoil. We used to use tinfoil. And a thing called plaster of Paris. This isn't actually plaster of Paris. This is Jarvis Scenics, Jarvis Countryside Scenics. This is called New Rock. It is basically plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is great stuff. It's fun. It's fun. It's messy fun. Let's have some messy fun. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. Not for now. But we'll throw it in the bin. Let's have some messy fun. We like messy fun. Right, good. Oh, I like these. These are disposable roasting trays. They're great for doing messy stuff in, and they're also good for doing static grassing. I found these the other day. I thought that's a genius idea. You just stick your clip on it and static grass away. Good stuff. It's also very good for doing this, which you can tell I've been doing it. Right, so how do we do this? We get some kitchen foam. We're going old school. We want about 3 or 4 sheets of this, about the same size. Now, if you've got time and you're not live on the YouTube, this is pound stuff. It's very cheap. Everything I do is on the cheap. I'm really a cheapskate. Right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to tear these in half again because we don't want to make a big one. We want to make a small lumpy thing. Now, ideally, what you would do is in between each layer of this, you'd put a bit of PVA glue and then stick that one on it, and then do the same and make like a phyllo pastry sort of effect with silver foil. Look at that! I went all Gordon Ramsay on you. Great British Bake Off or whatever. But yeah, just put a layer of PVA glue in between each one if you want. And it does help. It does hold it all together, I must admit. But we haven't got time for that. I should have actually what I should have done. I should have planned ahead, and in true Blue Peter style tradition, I should have done one earlier, shouldn't I? But I didn't. Let's get a few sheets. And all that's doing, you're just adding strength to it, really. And then do that and do that. And then once you've PVA'd them, let them for a bit, they're all stuck together. Right, what you want to do is gather them all up. Okay, and then you want to start, let's get that out of the way for that. You want to start putting folds in it. creases. Just crease it up, no matter how you do it, what angle you come from, just do different angles at it. Like stratifications in the rock, Tony. All that lot. Right, just put a few. See that. Just put a few lines on it. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to go and lightly, don't crunch it into balls really tight, and then open it out a little bit. Right, so you get it's very shiny, isn't it? And then what you're going to do is just going to fold up the edges, pinch them together on the edge. Just fold them up. Hold it, hold it. Kenneth's gone to bed. I'm off to bed. Night, Kenneth. Hopefully we'll see you later, mate, in a hangout this hour evening. You're tomorrow morning, mate. Yeah, give Alex a hug for us. Alex is Kenneth's service dog. He's a retired racing greyhound. He's a lovely dog. He's got no teeth left, bless him. But he's a cracking dog. Alex is a character. Absolute character. I think in the hangout, we hang out most evenings when there's the four of us. We hang out most evenings, and sometimes I'm convinced that Alex is the brains of the outfit. Sometimes, I must admit. Right, so once you've got a bit of a bowl, all you're going to do is you're going to get, that might be a bit big actually. You know what? I'm going to cut that in half because I think that might be quite a lot of plaster. We don't need that big. And what we're going to do is get a pair of skizzers. I'll chop them in half. I'm going to make 2 molds out of this. That looks a bit chunky. If you're doing a railway, that would have been perfect. But like a long cliff edge, that would have been nice. But we're not. We're not. We don't do that. I'd like to convert my loft actually and do it. I'm not a train fan, but I quite fancy the idea of a model railway. I don't know why. Maybe it's just sort of doing the scenery, I think, more than anything. Not the fact that trains are going around it, it's just the scenery of it all. Quite nice. It'd be fun to do. I have done one in the past for a friend a long time ago, which is why I got sick and tired of doing blooming trees. There you go. If you knew how many trees I've made for friends with model railways. Right, so we're going to get some plaster Paris. Now the ratio of this is 10 to 7. 10 parts of this to 7 parts of water. You're supposed to weigh out and everything, but I've got so used to doing that, I have to do it by eye now. I'll get about a bit less than that. Now the secret with this stuff, I'm not sure about plaster Paris. The secret with this stuff is put the powder in first and then the water. What'll make it melt? I'm not ignoring you, Andy. I'm not reading the chat, mate, really. I should. I'll tell you what, Andy. I will stop. I will lean back in the chair and we'll have a look at the chat. What's Andy saying? Andy's correct. They see my logo. Andy made that. Very cool. It's very cool. We got 2. Scott saying he's a very naughty boy. Country girls in Morecambe. Yeah. Dave's Holland was done over a weekend. Junk works. They're dressing up as men and want to stone him. Who do you want to stone? 2 years to paint, 1 year to paint them. No, Kenneth, it's taken me years. It's taken me a long time, Kenneth. It's taken me a long time to do. Oh yeah, sorry, Andy, I didn't do the wobbly transition. No, we're going back in time. Time machine. There you go. Messy fun back. Shh. Andy, shh, you can't say anything like that. Eric, I've got pants on, I've got shorts on. It's still quite warm here. I have got pants on, honestly. And then Kenneth was off to bed. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, Andy. No, the ratio of powder to water is 10 powder to 7 water. You're supposed to weigh it and everything, but right then. So let's have our water and our stirring your stick. Now we've got to stir this for about 2 minutes. It recommends. Basically, what you want to do, you want to stir it and stir it and stir it. Get off. And you want it to the consistency of double cream. That's basically what you're aiming for, is the consistency of double cream. And that's about spot on. That's all mixed up, I reckon. So it's very old school. This is how we used to do it back in the day. I'm the mad scientist. Eric, I feel like the mad scientist sometimes. The things that I've concocted and done over the years to try and save money when I didn't have any. You'd be amazed, mate. I'm still a bit like it. I like creating stuff. So changing the white powder looks very suspicious. It does, but it'd be. I don't think it'd have any effect if you stuck it up your nose, apart from dry your nose out. It was, with concrete nostrils. Right, so we've given that a bit of a stir. And then we'll leave it for a bit, for a couple of seconds, not for long. Just for a couple of seconds. Messy fun. I love a bit of messy fun. Can't beat some messy fun. Oh, let's put the lid on that before not that flying. And it does a lot of me electrics and fuses out the entire house. And the string goes off and my wife gets very angry. What makes you think that's happened before? Let's not go into that one. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're literally just going to pour it into our molds. Oh, I didn't make enough of it. I did actually, because you don't have to cover the entire. Blimey, I'm flicking it everywhere. That's come on the screen and everything. I'm an idiot. But it's messy fun. It'll clean up. It'll clean up. So we'll just pat that around a bit. In fact, we'll put a bit much in there, didn't we, that one? We'll take it out, put it in there. Move it about. And then what you want to do is you want to set this aside. Now this stuff, plaster of Paris would take overnight. This stuff takes about 40 minutes to cure off. Where have I put my kitchen water? Oh, there it is. Wipe my hands off. Oh no! It's good if I bought another one. It's very easy to clean off. It's not. Take off that computer screen. Oh, and then all you're going to do, literally, you're just going to set that aside and let it dry. Give it a bit of a bump and a bounce, and what that'll do is it'll get the bubbles that are trapped in it to the top, because the top is then going to become the side that you put against to work with. It's not the side we're looking for. We're looking for the other side. Don't do it too much, otherwise you'll just flatten out all the sound effect. Right, so let's stick that to one side. And in true Blue Peter tradition, here's some I prepared earlier. And there you are. That is a very nice. Well, once you paint this, I think it's the nicest way of doing it. But it's not the cheapest at the end of the day. Let's just unpick it and reveal what it looks like. And the beauty of this is you can break this up. You can tap this with a little hammer. I'll have to get that little bit out with a pair of tweezers later. this is how we did it in the past. A bit of plaster of Paris, and there you have a perfectly nice rock face. And it takes minutes to make it, and then you've got your drying times. We'll stick some paint on one of them and we'll show you how nice it comes out. We'll just dry brush it with the black, because that will show you the effect. Look a bit bizarre probably, the colouring, but it will show you the effect. Stick a bit of black on there. Get most of it off. We're back to this boring dry brushing bit again for you to watch, but oh, it's showing up really quickly because it's pale on dark. And obviously the longer you leave this dry, this is still quite moist. So we use that word again, moist. You're all giggling now, aren't you? I mean, you are. Don't lie, you're giggling. When I said moist, you were giggling. Andy would have been. Don't deny it, Andy. You was giggling then. And probably Jeff as well. Scott would have been laughing his head off, and then the few people that left in the workshop would be going, what's he laughing at? What's that idiot laughing at? What's he doing? What's he doing? Right, you see how that's probably struggling to focus now. But it makes a really, really nice rock effect. Just with silver foil and some plaster of Paris. What we now he's turning the powder into blocks, probably for shipping. Actually, so you're not far from. I used to be a very long time ago. I am a recovering drug addict. I've been clean for 22 years now, and best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. We all go through stupid phases in life, don't we? We've all made stupid, silly mistakes in life. It was my wife, she who farts in bed, that was my rock then and got me out of all that lot. But these silly things you do when you're young and daft. Things you do when you're young and daft. And then I discovered Warhammer. And the drug habit was cheaper. Speaking from experience, the drug habit was cheaper than Games Workshop. Well, there you go. But not as healthy. Games Workshop's quite healthy. Right, so there we go. That's plaster of Paris. What work? Jeff giggled. I knew he would have done. What about Andy? Andy, did you giggle? Thank you, Jeff. Cheers, mate. Thank you. It's not that, it's down to my wife, mate. She's been my rock. So at all, she was my rock. She really was. She was the one behind it all. Oh, so let's put that away. Oh. Get that there, and then we'll leave that now. Oh, you fell off the chair then. That one side. And you don't need to use it outside. If you just bang that, it will break into sections. Just use it however you want. Really simple to do. It's actually fun, especially if you've got kids. Get kids involved with doing that. That's good fun. Little ones love doing that. Messing around with plastic. You've probably gone for a wobble. You're going to get wobbly. I'll wash that off later. Ooh, where's me? There it is. Right, so let's have a quick look at chat. Blimey, it's 5 to 3 already. hour's nearly gone. We haven't even looked at what's on. We haven't even done the what's on the modelling times or anything yet. Jeff giggled. Andy, come on. Oh no. Another day. You didn't miss it. No, you didn't miss a lot. Whoever you are, who was some fella called Beyond Hope that's not supposed to be in here. He's not here. You haven't seen him, but apparently he's completed another day for us. You didn't miss a lot, mate. Just a bit of how to do some locks. That's all. It's 7:56 a.m. It's not. It's 14:55. It's 5 to 3 here, Lynn. Scott, I'm doing fiddly things. Don't make me giggle. Sorry, Scott. Well, Scott's doing fiddly things. Right. So let's have a look. Shall we? Model making times. What's on? Well, if I just click on that, online modeling shows, courtesy of Models for Heroes. Now, if you go on last week's video or any of the previous videos, there's a link underneath, and it's the link to Models for Heroes, their own website, and the calendar. They've kindly done a calendar of what's on for people. Today is Modelling United with Fred at 7 p.m. on there. 8 o'clock is the Fermanagh Modelling Club, and then 9 o'clock. I don't know if Mel the train tutor is still doing it. It's called Isolation Reach. He's been doing it like 6 nights a week. I don't know. I think he might have finished. I'll check that out for next week, make sure. But if he's still on 9 o'clock, he's Isolation Reach. And every day there's something. There's pretty much the show's down every day. Tomorrow is M4H Afternoon Live, 7 p.m. ISM Friday. Models for Heroes Evening Live at 8 p.m. on Friday. That's a cracking show. And then Friday Gem Crafting 8 o'clock. You know, so there's a big list of lots and I'm classing that. I sort of look at this as like national TV. What's on national? What's on local TV in our own little group of people that we all know and love and take the mickey out of each other. Wednesday. We're not sure. We're on Thursday. It's Thursday today, isn't it? Thursday evening, it's Chris at 8 o'clock. And then Friday, it's Fox with Fallout Friday. I'm assuming he may be still doing his Millennium Falcons for his E-models because he's just so far behind. Get your finger out, Fox. Stop faffing about. Get on with it. And then we want to see some Fallout Fridays. And then Friday evening at 8 o'clock, it's Natalie with a Dexterous Crafter. Let me just knock that, click that off, sorry. Yes, Nat at 8 o'clock with a Dexterous Crafter. And then Saturday, Fox at 3 o'clock with Skyrim, unless he's still catching up on this Millennium Falcon. He's actually managed to film past doing the cockpit, apparently, allegedly. And then Saturday evening is the Crash with James and Carl and Steve and Chris over in America and Lewis at 8 o'clock. Sunday, it's James again, Sunday morning. There's a Models for Heroes on a Sunday morning as well. And then James is on as well with the Model Officers Mess. And then at 12:30 now, it was 12, it used to be 12, it's 12:30 now, because they've given half an hour up for very kindly to James Skipping, is Colin and Dave with the Sunday brunch, and that's always a giggle. Total madness, it's chaos, carnage, but it's fun, it's good fun. So that's the show I recommend watching, is Colin and Dave's Sunday brunch, very funny. And then 3 o'clock, it's Fox with his Warhammer Sundays thingies. Where I now know his pain when it takes him 2 episodes to film a Splash Plane. I'm not going to that. And then on at 6:15 is Dad with the in-between show and show as you in-between show thing at 6:15. And then 8 o'clock, it's Chris and or Ted at 8 o'clock on Sunday. Monday at 3 o'clock is Lewis with his Lancaster build. And then E-models at 9 o'clock on Monday night. And then Tuesday, once again, it's Phil with Prime Time Modelling at 8 o'clock. Just two stupid farts that go and enjoy them, really. It's me and Dad, really. But yeah, it's always a giggle. It's a giggle. Please, and don't blame me. I didn't pick it. I didn't pick this week's theme. I'm just an innocent bystander. That's all. But don't forget, anyway, click the like button if you've liked what you've seen. Give me a thumbs up and all that lot. Like and subscribe and all that. It all helps. I'm talking about helping Models for Heroes. Don't forget anything you can send their way. They'll be extremely grateful for, even if it's just some glue and a couple of brushes or something. Do your little bit. At the end of the day, these guys have done a bit for us. Do your bit for them. Just send them something their way, and that's about it, really. Don't forget, as always, wash your hands and keep the change, you filthy animals. There's a nasty bug going around. And hopefully we'll see you next week. I haven't got a clue what we're going to do next week. I may even do, you know what? Should we do some how to paint a face? We'll do how to paint flesh and things and other things next week. We'll do some serious flesh tones. We were matron. So look forward to that. And I shall see you next week. Thanks for nipping in. And that's it, really. Bye. Have we gone yet? How do we end this? Oh, yeah, we press this button, don't we? See you next week. Put a little comment, Scott's in. Good afternoon, Scott. Scott's back at work. So, he still hasn't had his pineapple pizza slice yet, but he will. He will. It's going to be quite funny, that. I mean, I did the Korean death noodle challenge once. I did it twice, like an idiot. And it's probably not going to be the same for Scott. It's going to be horrible, but it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch. Dad's not in yet. Dad's obviously gone to visit Eileen today. It's his visiting time. So I'm sure that he will pop in later. It's morning in America and it's already outside. Oh, there you go, Jeff. It's not too bad here now. We had an exceptionally hot few weeks, but this week, my second week on holiday, it's quite pleasant. A little walk into town earlier. So, my two sons with me. Get to